Richard Del Connor is the philosopher poet of the hippie generation.
Welcome to the Shaolin Records store. Shaolin Records store, my record store. Since I actually created this online record store in 1999, but I launched the record company in 1984. So I've been selling records and CDs and cassettes and singles and all kinds of stuff since then, since 1984. But this website has existed since 1999. I had a different version of it. This version of it's from about 2005, I think and then I've just been updating it since then. So here we are. Okay, now we've got a bunch of products here. We've got the Oboy music movie over here, as you can see. And then we've got the Oboy book, which is the lyrics with the chords in big red letters over the words where they go. But you need to get the album so you can play the songs. Without knowing what the song sounds like, you won't be able to sing it, So anyway, you've got to get the album and then get the book. And then you should get the movie, because the movie is totally awesome. And the lyrics are there when the singing's going on. And I've actually jazzed up a couple of them and made them more than lyric videos. I made them kind of fancy music videos. A couple of which I'm really proud of. Temptation and No Hope and Surrender. I think No Hope and Surrender is my favorite music video. That's like, to me, what I'm most proud of right now, I think. Okay, so here we are. So I would just want to show you how to buy my music so I can get a car and get a house and get off food stamps. Okay, so what we got? Okay, here we go. We're at the homepage of ShaolinRecords.com. You can see it up here. So ShaolinRecords.com, and what it is this window here in the middle moves, and then these things over here make different things pop up in there. But some of them actually go to web pages, so that's not entirely true. So what we're looking for is we go to over here and click on artists, and it opens in here. Now, in here, there should be Richard Del Connor. There's not. That's my new artist. I got to put myself in here. Okay, books. This Oboy book, where is it? Well, let's click over here and look at the book. The book should be here. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so there's the book. So if we look at books over here, alphabetical by titles, it should be Oboy. We should come down here and M-P-O. Amen. It should be right between Masonic Kung Fu and Potato Valentine. And this cover needs to be updated. That's not the correct cover to use here. I've updated that cover. I've actually updated the cover on this one too. Goodbye, Rita. That was my fiance from way back then, and her cat, Kira. But anyway, I decided to upgrade that cover. Although I think it's a cute cover, but anyway, I've got a brand new cover for that book too. So I need to update that. I got a new cover for this book. It looks very similar, but just slightly different. Actually, there's different covers for lots of these books. I mean, the contents stay the same, but I've actually changed some of the covers. Okay, but yeah, I got to put it in here. Then we come over here into music. The music of Shaolin Records. And this is where all the artists are. American Zen, The Rich, THC, The Hippie Coyote, Lotus, Buddha Jen, American Zen Rejects. I was doing some fun with that. All this stuff in here, but my album's not there. I've got to put it in here too. Okay, what else do we got here? Then we go to news. I haven't been doing newsletters for some years. Well, actually, this is like 2014 when I did this, so I managed to somehow shove this little update in 10 years ago. And then the press room. I've got the most amazing press room. I put a lot of work into this. Look at all this stuff over here. All these different businesses of mine and press releases. Some of them aren't complete or only had a certain 1 year in which I released them. So, but there's a lot of work and a lot of different style that goes into here. But we'll do that later. We'll do a tour of that because there's some cool stuff in there. A lot of history. What was that? Was the press room. Radio and podcasts. Well, these podcasts, some of these podcasts, I have re-released them. So I'll have to check on the how the URL's working, like that one. CoyoteRadio.net. Yay! But actually, it's Coyote Radio. Is it Coyote Radio TV /Libsyn? And I've reissued the podcast, but we'll have to get up on that another time. Okay. But yeah, these podcasts have been re-released in different places. In fact, do I even own CoyotePoetry.com anymore? I haven't. Oh, look at that. I still have this one. 2012. That's the last time I updated anything here 13 years ago. So could be a lot of updates done in here. Okay, close that out. And okay, so we're back on the home page. And t-shirts. Unfortunately, you can't buy these t-shirts anymore. I was doing them through a company called cafepress.com. But when you click on them, they'll reject you. They'll say, this page doesn't exist. They've thrown me out because I had offered free websites, little things. And then if you wanted to customize it and do other stuff, you had to pay. So I had the freebies, but they actually just threw all my websites in the trash. And I got all kinds of graphics that other people are using because they kind of, I don't know, it's a little cheesy. But anyway, I can't say anything nice about cafepress.com because they threw me in the trash. So I think they may have cheated me in other ways too. But anyway, so I've got to figure out a new way to sell my shirts and stuff because I'm not going to print them up and sell them from my home. I got to find some way to have them made and then you buy them, type of thing. But if anybody wants to help me put that together, I'll give you 50% of whatever we make on that market. So I need help. I need lots of help. In lots of different ways. Webmastering, coding. Plus, I want to make some movies and albums. So if you want to help me with the recording and the photography and the cinematography, or even be an actor and make funny commercials with me, I've got all kinds of things ready to go. But I'm a one-man operation, which is really slowing me down. Okay, so anyway, up here, there's some updates that I need to throw my Richard Del Conner, me as an artist, into. Okay, in fact, so we come over here to the exclusive artists, and look at that, I did put myself in here, but that's because I was already here. That's my, in fact, it even says legal name, because I was using it as a record producer, not as an artist. So when we click on that, we actually see, like it says, record producer, Renaissance man, and then it just talks about me. So this album isn't even in here yet, but it needs to be. This is my artist website, so now I need to revamp this thing and say, hey, Richard Del Conner, the music artist, and maybe put all this information in the trash. It's been there for a dozen years and it's not doing, well, I don't know, I can't really criticize anything as being bad because everything's bad. So it's like nothing's bad, nothing's good. It's just like everything's, I'm hidden in a closet. So I just have to look at it that way right now. But anyway, I think I'll have to redo this whole web page because I got to throw the products in here. This is me as an artist. So I was hoping, I've been procrastinating on this till I got all this updated, but I haven't been able to use Dreamweaver, the program I use for updating my websites, which used to work fine 15 years ago, 20 years ago even. 20 years ago, I really mastered it, and having a lot of trouble with it now. In fact, Adobe stopped updating it 4 years ago, so it works like crap now. It crashes. It must have crashed on me about 12 times yesterday. It's the only program I've got that crashes, but it crashed about 12 times on me yesterday. And so it's really tedious trying to get anything done, and it freezes up on me for a long time. So I've got a lot of work to do, and it really makes life hard, as if I wanted to do it anyway. I'm a reluctant webmaster. So anyway, that's me as an artist. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here. Oh, let's go back to the homepage and let me just show you what else we got. So yeah, Richard Del Conner, the artist, is here. In fact, Richard Coyote's here. I've released an album here. I was looking at it. I did that webpage nice. Anyway, and then when you click on this little button here, it opens up a whole bunch of stuff here that you can go to also. These things I have not updated in 10 years at least, maybe 15 or 20. But they're cool stuff. These are right here, this Buddha Rocks. This is my brochure, and Fighting Music is a brochure page in which I take different songs from different albums that I think are good fighting music, and then they're all there on this brochure page. Let's see, what else do we got? There's 6 brochure pages. So we'll have to do those sometime. Special events? Well, I don't have special events anymore. If I click on that, what does it even say? San Diego gigs. So yeah, this one hasn't been updated. This was in 2012 when I was in San Diego, and 13. I left early in 2013. So at that time, yeah, I was trying to create a home in San Diego, but I couldn't make anything happen. No way. All right, so where were we? Oh, so now we can come over here. In fact, I need a direct link to it. In fact, even the web, this thing right here, this is embarrassing. It even says product template. I got to undo the code or redo some of the coding so it'll actually give the page title correctly. So lots of work here to do. But I look at this work that I did do. I did create the Oboy page. I got to link it onto the front page. You won't be able to find this very easily. Right now, if you come here, you'd have to look at it. It's my link up here. In fact, you can't even read the whole URL. What is that whole URL? If we can look at it right here. So it's ShaolinRecords.com, record store with R and S being capitalized, Richard Del Connor with the RDC capitalized, and then the actual page of this web page, which is capital RDC -1 Oboy with a capital O.html. So anyway, you can find this web page, but it's not linked onto the home page. I'm realizing today. I got so much work to do. But anyway, let's sorry if I'm clinking my mouse and stuff. Apologize. So, but I did build this to some extent. So this is the music movie. Here's the album, and there's the book. Now I've got to figure out how to sell you the book. I haven't uploaded that anywhere, even though I've made the book. I got to figure out how to do that, where I'm going to put it, and how I'm going to sell it, and I don't even know a price to sell it for yet. And then here the album. The Oboy album is. Did I not release it? I'm in packaging and I'm redoing the Richard Del Connor album. I got all these different album projects that are like really near completion. But maybe the Oboy album itself needs to be mastered still. I've got to do a final final mix mastering on that. I'd have to check on that later. Let me look at the song title. Yeah, I know I've done everything here. Oh, I had a few songs that I was thinking about recording on more, but I just don't have the time, and I'm going on to other projects. So that's why I have to kind of like focus on one project at a time, and then I got to really stay there until I get it done. Because once I jump off to another project, that project's going to have trouble getting finished. So it's really important that I live project by project. So this page. So I did upload the mute. I remember I had problems with the movie. I had to upload it in 2 files, and then I found out later there's a way I could do it all in 1 file if I go into the back end server and do it by what's called, well, anyway, FTP upload in the back. I can do a larger file. But the front side, which I was trying to do through my browser, wouldn't let me do as big a thing as this movie is. So when you download it, it'll download in 2 files, I think. We could check on that, although I'm not going to buy it right now, or we could really see. But yeah, we click on one of these buy buttons for that music movie. Let's see what it costs. Let's see what happens. It says it recognizes me. So it found my credit cards that I normally use, and it's got my address and everything, and it's $12.14. That probably includes tax, too, because I don't sell anything for $12.14. So there must be tax on this. It doesn't even tell me if I click on here. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I'm selling it for $11.11. If you click on the price, it breaks it down here. So the album is $11.11. So I guess maybe I'm going to make a lot of albums $11.11. I don't know. They used to be $8.88, but I got to raise the price. And then plus tax. So $11.11 is what this album costs. Okay, so what am I doing here? Can we get back to the album? Where is it? Oh yeah, it was right. Here's the album. Okay, so here's the album, and so yes, you can buy the music movie right now for $11.11. The album should be coming, and the book should be coming, but yeah, soon. I wish somebody was interested. Complain to me, and I might be more motivated. Okay, so anyway, and then down here at the bottom, because this is from the template page, certain artists, I create a template page. So then if I build another album for that or book for that artist, then certain things like this bottom part will just automatically propagate that page and make it easy for me to kind of advertise a few other products without having to rebuild this section on every time. In fact, Dreamweaver is really hard to make these. Anyway, I'm just not having fun with Dreamweaver. In fact, they even asked me, would you recommend it to a friend? I said, no. I mean, I feel bad about that, but it's true. I'm having so much trouble with it. Why would I recommend it to someone? I would have recommended it 10, 15 years ago, and I did, but I still don't know. In 15 years, I haven't met anybody who makes websites. Actually, I did. And they wouldn't help me. They worked at a homeless shelter, and they'd work on the weekends and what they call the pantry at this Catholic thing that gave out free food and clothing. And in fact, I could only go for the clothing Well, anyway, like once a month. But when I did go there, this couple was always there, and they both had worked at Capitol Records, and I used to work at Capitol Records. So I thought we had this thing going, and I thought that they would want to help me. And I told them, hey, I'm releasing a record, I'm doing this, and I'm building these websites. Can you help me? Can you advise me? And they wouldn't help me. And these are people who had retired, and that's what they supposedly did. And in fact, they said, oh, we got a business. We build websites, you know. And I said, well, help me with my website. But because I didn't have any money, they wouldn't help me. And they were there helping homeless people. So a lot of people who help homeless people are only doing it very half-heartedly. They're kind of like pigeons. Nobody wants to give those pigeons a good home, but they're happy to throw them some food, you know, at the park, you know, but you don't want to take a pigeon home. You don't want to care about what's going to happen to it or give it any extra money to find a home to live in or a nice place or get adopted. You know, you just throw it some food and then you don't worry about it. And that's what it's like in the homeless world. You know, people throw us food and they throw us some clothes, but they don't really care. Now run along. And some people I can understand. There's a lot of, you know, well, there's disreputable, disgusting people of all genres of society and income. But anyway, so, but yeah, I wasn't able to find, if there were people who could help me, they didn't help me. So I have not been able to have any help in 20-some years. That's why I had to give them a qualification. I think I found a couple of people who knew how to help me, but they still refused, even though they worked at a homeless shelter. Okay, so let's see, where were we? Not a shelter, it was actually a Catholic church, but they gave free food on every Thursday, and then once a month you could go to get the a whole bunch of free clothes. So I got all kinds of dead people suits and formals and leather jackets and really beautiful stuff that I got because I would go to this place, this Catholic place, and get stuff consistently for about, I don't know, 5-6 years. I'd go there. So they got to know me really good. I knew everybody when I first came. Now, when I did put out my poetry book, there were a few people who bought my poetry book, Philosopher Poet in a Field of Dreams. They bought the paperbacks. Actually, I had to actually print them up, buy them myself, and then take them around and pushed it on them, and they were able to buy it. Otherwise, sending them off to buy it, they probably wouldn't have bought it. So I had to push it, just say, hey, buy this. And then they told me later, everybody I sold one to said they really loved it. In fact, I heard this from maybe three different people told me that they loved just opening up the book and then reading it like a horoscope, you know, and it would like give them a new perspective or answer a question they had in their head. It was like some magical horoscope. I heard that from two people were really adamant about that, and I think there was a third person who mentioned that. But not like I sold that many either, so that's a kind of a high proportion. Okay, here we are. We're on the Oboy webpage at ShaolinRecords.com. And what does it say here? And I'll let you go. Let's get out of here. The Oboy is a 17-song debut album of Shaolin Records artist Richard Del Kenner. I'm also the founder and the record producer, but I'm the new artist. A music movie? Yep, we're calling it a movie, a music movie. Did I just make that up? I don't know. When I was in UCLA and I got kind of famous, you know, because Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy really liked my rock opera, which was called it is called Coyote in a Graveyard. And we were having trouble figuring out what it was. In fact, the screenplay class at UCLA, I don't know if they still use it, but I made a music movie for New World Pictures of it. And then they got out a movie production and gave it back to me. So I've got this professional screenplay that I made for New World Pictures, but I did a couple of customization things because the movie goes to the music in a lot of places. So I have to put the music so we know what's going on in the action. So I developed a system of having the background music pop into the screenplay so you know where you're at and you can time and, you know, realize how things are corresponding with each other. And so I think I was calling it a music movie back then in 1984, you know. In 85, I think, is when I finished it for New World Pictures. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Okay, so yeah, but this is a music movie. It's not really a movie because it's 17 music videos just crammed together, you know. That's what it is. And, but I want you to watch the whole thing. So it's like a movie that takes an hour. And where were we? Okay, and then there's the album, and it's got all the songs on here. Let me see. Does it have the song? You know, I'm not going to say. Oh, no, it is here. So there should be 17 songs here. The front of the album's only got 16. So there's one song that's listed here that's not over here. I'm helping you out here. I should make a little quiz, you know. Which song is not on, that's on the album is not on the cover? There was one song I ended up putting on there at the very last. Okay, now, let's see. So reading again the guitar song book. What did I say about the guitar song? So all these three of these items are on the same page at Shaolin Records. You know, got to simplify my life. I'm too scattered. So all three of them are already there. And then at ShaolinCommunications.com, the book might be separate from the record and stuff like that instead of all being put together. You might find them all individual pages. But on ShaolinRecords.com, they're all three on the same page. And what did I write here to make this a little bit longer? Oh, it's already been 20 minutes. Guitar Songbook of Music Album, Oh Boy, by Richard Del Conner. Play along with, this is for the book, play along with Richard Del Conner. First, get the Oh Boy album and Oh Boy music movie. Okay, so buy those two things first. Then it will be easy to play along with the album and videos or start your own garage band. Use this Oh Boy album to create your own garage band. If one of the musicians can sing the songs, you only need 3 musicians to start a rock band. This album's got 3-piece musicians. It's bass, drums, and guitar. And then I'm singing. Sometimes I'm playing bass and singing, and sometimes I'm playing guitar and singing. So, but we were a 3-piece. But sometimes we're a 4-piece. I tried to add a 4th member in, but just having a 3-piece band was hard to keep going. So perform these songs, and now you're a rock band. If your drummer wants to sing, I recommend a boom with a flex arm. I was getting carried away here, wanting to elaborate on this, how to do it, but I'm not sure how much more to say on that. And let's see, and then this is stock stuff down here. Oh, NFTs, music NFTs. I have been making music NFTs since 2020. One of the very first in the entire world. The first year that music NFTs were being made, I was making them. So I'm a pioneer of music NFTs. But nobody bought them. I don't sell anything anywhere. But anyway, I've got a whole bunch of music NFTs. Now, it's just an NFT, but it not only has a picture, it's got the music. There is a way that I can put a whole song on them now. Couldn't do it back in 4 years ago. They wouldn't store that much music, but now you can. So now I can store an entire song. And in an NFT. So you buy the NFT and you get a picture. If I'm selling it for $1, it's collector, collect like a baseball card, but you got a picture, so not that big a deal. But and the pictures relate to usually what the NFT's topic is, which means that on the first album, I've got all of the pictures that took place during the making of that album, but then the song of the album. So it's like buying a single song. So if I sell it for $1, that's the same as buying it for $1, but you get a picture and you got the NFT, which you can resell, and you've also got the description. And that's what really is. I can put, like, I forget how many words, like 200,000 words in this, or 20,000, a huge amount of words or letter characters in the description. And so in the description of many of my NFTs, I've got a ton of information and links to all kinds of places and stuff. So I think that the descriptions is very valuable. So each of my music NFTs is 3 things. It's a picture, it's a description, and it's an actual song you can play. Okay, so we can talk about that more later. But unfortunately, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I'm so alone in the world. Even with these topics, I don't know anybody who's buying them or selling them or making them. I'm just like totally in my own little universe here. It's like I'm in the future or something. But here we go. Okay, so does that complete this podcast here? We're at Shaolin Records, and we're looking at the Oh Boy, and all the products are right here on one page, if you can find it. And it's going to be hard to find. Because I got to finish this. But I can't get my Dreamweaver to work. It crashed on me a dozen times yesterday. It really slowed me down. So, in fact, by the end of the day, I couldn't even get it to fire up. So I had to give up last night. So I was trying to prepare for this podcast. Anyway. So just letting you know that I will get there, and hopefully it'll be upgraded by then, and I'll have more records and stuff coming out. And I've got all kinds of records that I've made that I haven't put into this website, too. A lot of my products aren't even offered yet. I haven't been able to keep up with it. Because during the 6 years that I was homeless, I couldn't get to this on the website computer, the library computers, which you can use for 1 day and then 1 hour, and then it may sometimes give you an extra hour. And then it's the same with the internet. You can use the internet for so long, and then you can't. But anyway, I chipped away at it a little bit during those homeless years, but not much I could do like I can now. But I got other things I want to do. I don't want to build websites, but I got to at least get everything here so you can buy it. Buy my stuff, please. Think of it as donations. I mean, hopefully you like everything you're buying, so you're getting your money's worth. If you didn't like it, then that would be a donation. You buy it and throw it in the trash. But anyway, help. Buy my stuff. If I make more money, I can get off food stamps. That'd be nice. Okay, so there we go. I mean, I want to keep talking, but I got to let you go because I'm going to consider us done for today. Get the Oboy album. It's me, Richard Del Connor. It's my debut album, the first album. Back in the 1960s, I never even thought I was going to be a professional musician or, make albums and stuff like that. I was just playing for fun and performing for, school events and stuff like that. And then when I went to Utah, I got hired as a bass player. I saw it professionally, but the band was so crappy. Well, I mean, they were really talented musicians, but I didn't like what they were doing. It was classical rock. That what ended up happening was we didn't ever play a gig. So then I formed a blues band called Dogmeat. Dogmeat with Ab Stockwood, and then we performed a whole bunch of places. But I was just playing blues and songs I liked. Even had a Fleetwood Mac song. Anyway, yeah, a really cool Fleetwood Mac song I used to play and stuff. So I was just starting to write music, and this is 1970. So when I went to Canada, that's when I started writing music. But I still didn't really envision a career. I just saw myself as now working up the ladder and making my own music, but still just for me and selling it and having a record deal. That didn't even seem possible. It wasn't even in my dreams at that point yet. And then when I finally came back to California, I unfortunately went to San Diego, and my family just put me to work as a laborer, had me, anyway, so I was performing in bands and making little bands in San Diego and playing in people's backyards and stuff, and that was pretty, man. I was a garage band, in San Diego. But towards the end of my years, I realized I don't want to be a laborer. I don't want to just dig holes and pound nails. And so I realized one of my rock band members was he worked in a record store, and so I think he had bigger dreams, and so he was able to kind of like move my dreams up a notch because I didn't have that inherent dream of being a recording artist or a star, but he did, and so that kind of helped me, I think, grow into that, envisioning that. I mean, I just couldn't play music and write songs no matter what. But I wasn't really ever doing it as a career. But I had to, at some point, start thinking of it. So that was in 1978, and I moved to LA as a rock band, and we lived together. But still, even then, I thought of it as we'd be a performance band, and then we'd get signed to a record label. So that's how I looked at it for about 5 years until I formed my own record company in 1984. So, because I realized that being signed to a record label wasn't all good. I saw lots of things bad about that. I saw a lot of careers go down because I was a photographer, and so I'd get hired by the record companies to shoot some of their artists, and then I realized I'd watch the artists and talk to them, and then they'd tell me about how their careers were destroyed by the record companies, because sometimes what would happen in the 80s is they'd buy a popular band on the Sunset Strip would have all kinds of people and stuff like that, and so the record companies would just go in and scoop up this band and say, okay, we'll buy you. Maybe you're going to be a star. We don't want somebody else to buy you. So they were just like steezing up these bands. And then what they do is you've got in order to sign somebody as an exclusive artist so they can't record for anyone else, the record company has to pay you, I forget what the minimum was back then, not very much, less than $10,000. I think it was $7,500. That just came to my mind. And if they pay you that much in 1 year, then that used to supposedly constitute enough to survive. And so that meant that they had paid you for a year to work only for them as an exclusive artist. Now, during that year, if you wanted to go in the recording studio, then the record company would say, okay, we'll get you into a recording studio and hire an engineer and hire a producer, and it's going to cost you, we'll say, $100,000, or even $25,000 was the lowest back in the early 80s. But anyway, we'll say $100,000 to go in the studio and cut your album, pay the producer, pay the studio, pay for all the rental equipment, travel and food and pizza and everything else. So it can cost you about $100,000. So the record company pays for all that. And then what happens is they say, okay, now we've got your album. It cost us, we've invested $100,000 into you guys. And they would do some sample marketing and decide whether they were going to invest any more, because the record company was putting all their, it's not their money, it's actually the band's money, but how much money did they want to waste on this band, because they may not get it back from them. So that was the hurdle, which is why actually, unless you were established, even back then, you might not have got $100,000. They just give you enough to do a couple of singles just to test you out or something like that. And so they maybe only record a couple of songs, and then if they didn't go anywhere, which they won't if you don't do a lot of advertising, then they just say, well, too bad. So then you're stuck for the rest of the year. You can't work for anybody else. You can't record for anybody else. And you're stuck, and you can't get signed to another record label, because then in order to go to another record label, they've got to pay out the other record label whatever money and everything. And plus, when they shelve you, that makes the other record companies less interested in you. They say, well, if Capitol Records really doesn't like you and they don't want to really continue, then why would we like you? We'll look for somebody else. And so then at the end of the year, then your contract's up and then you're free. But now you are a thrown away band. You're a band that's been thrown away by a record company. And the record companies are all going to know that when they try to sign you or take an interest in you. So then you go to Elektra and they said, oh yeah, you were at RCA last year. What happened? Well, they didn't renew our contract. Oh. So why would we want to? So in other words, that destroyed a lot of careers by having them for a year. In fact, I know a couple of bands that never recorded anything, supposedly, which I think according to a normal contract says that you're supposed to record something and that the record company's supposed to pay for it, and then you pay them back for it out of your royalties. But I think there were some bands that didn't record anything. If I remember a couple of the stories right, I can think of 2 or 3 bands that I shot, and they said we didn't record anything. They just kept us for a year so nobody else could get us. And then when the year was up, they dumped them. So now they're a dumped artist. That's like a tainted career, a tainted name. So I saw that happening a lot during the 1980s. And so that made me realize that a record contract isn't always a good thing, and it can cause problems, and they take a lot of your... Anyway. So that's when I formed Shaolin Records in 1984, against the advice of all my friends. I had a bunch of friends in the business, and they said, don't do that, you can't do that, and you don't have any money. And they were right. I really couldn't do it. It was never a success. I never had any money to hire people, advertise, or promote, or do anything as a normal record company. So they were right. But it did allow me to pretend to be a record company. It allowed me to still invest my money into myself and record these records and albums and accumulate all these assets and these songs. So I own 100% of everything, which is kind of like almost near zero right now because nothing's selling. But the moment things start selling, then the value of my record company will go up. That was a long-winded story. So where are we now? Let me get out of here. Yeah. But there we go. There is an Oboy webpage at Shaolin Records and at a couple other places. And ShaolinCom.com are my 2 places. And I'll try to put it in a few other places where you can, get it if you're there and just download it from there. But really, Shaolin Records is where you should go to get my records and everything for Oboy. All right, so there you go. Let's get out of here. And thank you. Buy my stuff. Please.
Bright sunny day in UCLA.
Bye.